typically a short case. This is how the case presents. You get a child where the hand has deviated significantly to the radial side. Quite often the thumb is missing, or if it is present, it is various grades of hypoplasia. This is the history. 1829, then 1869, then 1884, and then of course 20th century. But the embryology is of some interest because there is a reduction in fibroblast growth factors associated with the apical epidermal ridge. There is loss of tissue volume, but the ulnar side expression is usually intact. So ulnar sided structures are of good quality in radial club hand. By the way, the name is nowadays not radial club hand, it's radial dysplasia. Club hand is considered to be politically incorrect, pejorative to the child for some such Americanism. But the radial side deficiency is variable and can go all the way to humerus also. It can start from just thumb to carpus, radius, humerus and soft tissues on the radial side. This is a factoid, busulfan given to pregnant mice. Typically we don't give busulfan to pregnant women, so it is not really of any great significance. I have yet to see a lady who says, I took this drug and my child got radial club hand. Typically no. But this is important. There are various classifications, but this one is the standard classification. Type 1 is the mildest, which is short distal part of the radius. Not much treatment is required here. Type 2 is hypoplastic radius and therefore insufficient support to the wrist. Remember, the wrist is resting on a broad radius and a narrow ulna. If the radius is missing, the wrist tilts. Type 3 radius is partially absent and type 4 completely absent. 3 and 4 are the bad ones. Even 2 is bad. So if you want overview of treatment, type 1 only tendon transfer. Just to rebalance the vector forces. Rarely after the person grows around 17, 18, you can do either shortening of ulna or lengthening of radius, because this kind of ulnar variance is known to later on cause kickbox and so on because of pressure on the carpus. But in childhood and adolescence, tendon transfer is usually sufficient. Type 2 definitely requires lengthening, but distraction lengthening can work. And type 3 and type 4 require the formal surgery of shifting the ulna or the carpus, whichever way you look at it, so that the hand becomes stable on the wrist. Rather, the wrist becomes stable on the ulna. So this is the other complicated classification. Don't look at this, I will show you picture by picture. So this is the so-called type N. N for normal, remember it that way. So only the thumb is abnormal. Everything else is normal. Below the radius is looking okay, the carpus is looking okay. Type 0, thumb abnormal but carpus also abnormal. For example, the scaphoid is missing in this one. There is mild change in the radial length. Again, more proximal view of type 0. It is showing a radial head dislocation. As I said, all along the radial side of the hand and the upper limb, you can have abnormalities. Type 1, hypoplastic radius. Obviously hypoplastic radius. This lunotraquetal coalition and all this is interesting because this is all by Professor Mansky from his paper. He has managed to get them as adults and take pictures. See, he has done a polycization here. You can even see that. And you can also see that he must have cut the head at a slightly wrong place because it has grown considerably. If we see all our patients in delayed follow-ups, they are ruthless about showing us what mistakes we have made in childhood. Dr. Ravind Thapte had put up a board in the Department of Plastic Surgery at Sion Hospital. Time is the plastic surgeon's greatest ally and the most trenchant critic, both. Because the worst looking scar starts looking very good after a long time is over. And something which looks beautiful on day one, after 15 years can look awful. So time is an interesting dimension. This is type 2. Radius hypoplastic both ends. Then absent distally and then completely absent. Okay? So the incidence is high on either end. The mild variety and the more severe variety. In between are less in number. These are the syndromes you must look for. When you have a child with radial dysplasia, these are the syndromes you must look for. So TAR is, what is TAR? Vector will come to, Holt Oram also. All these have heart anomalies also. And Fanconi's anemia. Not a very good thing to have. Fanconi's anemia is considered to be lethal in the medium term. Not short term, but medium term. I would like to operate them at 6 months of age. Because I then want to do a polycization by 9 months. So that the hand-to-mouth reflex and all the brain software for hand use is developing at that time. I would like the child to have a near normal hand at that time. I never use the word normal. Parents also always ask me, normal ho jayega? So I tell them 100% normal nahi ho jayega. I am trying to go towards normal. I cannot make normal. If you want normal, call Brahmadev, not me. This point is very important. Some of these children have a fixed elbow, in which case the deviated hand is the only thing that will reach the mouth. In which case you should not correct. In which case only do polycization. And the elbow function, I don't mean X-ray. Sometimes these children can have a normal looking elbow on X-ray. But passively you cannot move the elbow. So the acid test is clinical passive mobility of the elbow. Because a 1 month child may not oblige you. If you tell him flex your elbow, he will do nothing. You have to hold the elbow and make sure it is passively, freely mobile. Okay? The goals are obvious. Functional and stable wrist. So these are the principles of treatment. Correct the deviation, correct the subluxation, correct the ulnar bow, correct everything. Address limb length and treat associated anomalies. So these are the basic principles of treatment. What is the ideal protocol? If you have had day 1 referral from the nursery in your hospital, then counseling, investigations and start sprinting with Orfit. So that tissues start lengthening on the radial side. At 1.5 to 3 months, serial outpatient department plaster of Paris to stretch the skin. Soft tissue distraction anytime after 3 months. And at 6 months do the formal operation. This is if your child has come to you on day 1. Polycization under 1 year. Finally, ADM transfer to the new pollex if required. See, in the more severe variety, even the index finger is of poor quality in terms of its associated muscles, tendons, bones, joints, everything. So if you have a grade 4 with camptodactylous fingers, then your polycization is also not going to be the best. Having said that, it is still better to have a polycized camptodactylous finger than no thumb. Let us be clear on that. Five years onwards, we start the ulna, osteotomy, lengthening, etc., etc. Especially if the bowing is very severe. It was Bugramko who really said that the real treatment is reversal of the deforming forces and therefore tendon transfers. Just doing the bone doesn't work because the deforming force continues. That is why the ulna is convex on the ulnar side and concave on this side. Why? Because this entire soft tissue of the flexor mass is pulling it like the string of a bow. So you have to move it. In addition to moving the bone, you have to move those tendons and reverse those vectors which are behaving abnormally. Trouble is, it is not always possible. Because those FCR and ECR which you are proposing to move are absent. Then what are you going to move? Then there is nothing to move. But just showing you the steps. In a milder variety, you can get both FCU and FCR. Then you can shift and reverse the forces. Similarly, you can get both ECRL and ECU. So then you can shift. See, this is it's not absent, it's hypoplastic. Therefore, the less the anomaly on the radius, the better the soft tissues are going to be. Remember that. The higher the anomaly on the radius, the lesser the soft tissues are going to be. This is our distraction method. We put a biplanar fixator. I started out with uniplanar, doesn't work as well. Biplanar is best. What is the problem? Infection and loosening. 1 millimeter per day for 4 weeks usually enough. The point is, it helps reduction by ligamentotaxis without excision of carpus. And this is the big thing which Elizarov first propounded. The distraction causes histoneogenesis, that means new tissue formation. And therefore, newer, longer, more supple tissues are formed by distracting, and therefore the success rate is higher. First persons to use distractors were these two groups, Kessler and Tonkin. And then this is the other interesting thing, bilobe flap by David Evans from Slough. Other popular approaches were Manske, Lamb and Green. But they all did bony surgery and they all ended up with severely foreshortened ulna. Their long-term follow-up results show 50% of the opposite side, that much shortened. While our technique shows 70% plus of the opposite side. So it's a very significant change. So just showing you the steps, bilobe flap. So the A flap is on the dorsum, B flap is on the